Good morning, everybody. How are we doing? It's currently show number 18 of 24 of the 24-hour global commute. Over the 24 hours, we'll visit every time zone on the planet, and we have some amazing guests lined up. I'm Tom Parkinson, and my co-host on this show is Gabby Cotton-Gambara. Hi, Gabby. How are you?
Hi, Tom. I'm good, thank you, considering it's 1:30 in the morning here in the UK. How are you doing?
Yeah, I must confess to having had a little bit of a power nap before this one. I think I've had all of 3 hours, which might be reflected, I'm afraid. So don't judge the sort of lack of makeup around the eyes and whatnot.
I think it's well deserved.
Yes, absolutely. How have you been finding the show so far?
Yeah, really good. It's really interesting to see everyone's journey and how they're getting on. We've had an awesome Monday, your favourite day ever. How do you feel now that it's not Monday anymore?
It's now Tuesday, so I don't know how to feel really. I just think I tell everyone how to feel on a Monday, but once we're past that, it's anybody's guess. So yeah. Anyway, moving on. Along the way, we've been raising money for charity for really good causes all around the world. In the US, we've been raising money for Quad A, the Association of African American Financial Advisors, and Colour for Change, which is part of the Black Lives. And the team in the UK have been raising money for two great charities in CF Warriors, helping kids overcome cystic fibrosis, and the Stroke Association. We would also like to encourage people in other countries to donate to a charity of your choice and then message us to let us know that you've done it so we can add your donation to the total. I think I heard quite an astounding total when I was on the previous show. So let's see if we can really pull together to get towards that high goal. Let us know, obviously, if you do make a donation at all. We will have more on that all later on. But Gabby, what do we have coming up on this show?
So on this show, we have a roundtable discussion looking at financial planning in Singapore with Andrew Talbot. And we also have a focus on financial planning with Oliver Bourke. So let's get straight into the interview with Andrew. Andrew, how are you doing?
Good. Yeah, I've had a good night's sleep and coffee.
I'm a little bit jealous. So Andrew, could you tell us a little bit about Avrio Wealth?
Yeah, so we've only been going 6 months. So we got our Singapore license in January. The local Singapore financial services regulator doesn't give them out that often, so we were quite excited to get a new license. It's been a few years since anyone got one, so we came together with a couple of industry colleagues. There's 3 of us to create Avrio, and it's Greek for planning for tomorrow.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. So the business specializes in financial planning. When did you adopt this approach, and how prevalent is financial planning in Singapore?
I've been doing financial planning or fee-based financial planning for a good sort of 5 years now, and my colleagues have also been on that journey as well. So to come in together, we wanted an entire firm that does fee-based planning or starts with financial planning rather than selling product or doing transactions, which is pretty much the standard in Singapore. So we think we're probably one of about 3 or 4 firms that entirely do that. I think there's a few advisors within other firms that will do financial planning as a core. But we think we're quite unique in that, and that's the reason why we wanted to come together. We wanted everyone to be on the same path and doing the same planning for clients.
Yes, okay, yeah, definitely. So on that note, what do you think are some major challenges for financial planning firms in Singapore?
I think it's trying to educate the public, and it's similar to Hong Kong. So I was listening to the previous show, and the stages are very, very similar in that cycle, where you're trying to educate your client base, but the general public in the fact that it's it is about financial planning. It's not just selling a product. So we have the same structure where there's like 20,000 insurance agents, and they're all called financial advisor representatives, but they're nothing to do with financial advice. It's just how much product you can sell under the insurance agents. So the challenge for us is to say, well, actually, this is what financial planning is. Like, this is how we do it. It's goal-based. It's taking the client's own position and giving them advice without the contingent part of, well, I've got to sell you a product to get paid, which is 99% of the rest of Singapore. And there's a few advisors, and I think there's a few firms that really are looking at it and thinking, well, actually, this is a more sustainable business. Clients are happier. You're giving good advice. You're enjoying your role. You're enjoying your work. And I think that's our challenge, is to say, well, there is another way. We think it's a better way. Come and join us.
Yes, for sure. But it's definitely been that theme that it's very financial planning is very goal based. Yeah, it's interesting. How do you see financial planning developing over the next 5 years?
I think we will follow. You follow other jurisdictions. So I've been in Singapore, I think 11 years, an expat sort of 14 years now. And you can see how the regulators talk to each other, like as Keith said in the previous show. And there is a standardization coming around the world. So I did my Australian exams a couple of years ago, and you'll be surprised how they are very much similar to doing the CII exams that I did a few years before that. And when you do sort of the Singapore planning exams, I wouldn't say they're too onerous, but actually what they are is just a copycat of the rest of the world. And even the regulations here were based on the Financial Services Markets Act in 2000 in the UK. They basically copy it and put it around the world. So I think one jurisdiction really leads the way and shows that there is planning happening, then other jurisdictions will start to say, well, actually, why don't we copy that? And they learn from maybe the mistakes and make it better. So that's what I think will happen around the world. I think it's going to go the route of maybe financial advice to financial planning, and probably into financial coaching. I think that's where you're going to add some value.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. And if we go just slightly back to when you said that you left the UK 14 years ago, is there anything that you miss about the UK?
You can get most products in Singapore. There's a lovely Marks and Spencer's down the road that does M&S food, which is pretty good. You can get all of the TV channels. We get football. Like, I know you guys are getting football every single game. We've had every single game for years. So you could watch 3 or 4 games in one Saturday evening if you wanted to. But yeah, there isn't anything you can't get. That's globalization, right? You can get everything everywhere.
Even Marmite.
Can you get Marmite? It's not something I like, so I don't know if you can.
I think Adam's looking to move to Singapore, so he's just checking to see if there's any Marmite there, because I think it's his favourite food.
The local supermarkets, you either get Waitrose or Tesco stuff, so you can probably find it in there.
Okay, all right. So how do you think Singapore has coped with the COVID-19 outbreak?
I mean, I'd say really well. They had the same experiences with SARS a few years ago, so there was a lot of learning from that. We have like the track and trace, so every time you go into a shop or an office, you've got to register to say that you've gone into it. Your temperature's been taken since like March, so there's the isolation. Quarantine to get into Singapore, the borders were shut pretty early. So all the flights stopped. So no one's left for a while, and no one's come in for a while. So we'll see how that's going to plan out in the coming weeks. But I think the border might be starting to open, and we might have this ability to go to different countries that don't have the virus or have really sort of stopped it, like New Zealand or Australia.
Okay, and so have people taken to registering when they go into the shop?
Yeah, so even our office, if we had a client meeting in our office, then we need to register the clients coming in, and there's a QR code that sits on every shop front or every office front, and you take your phone and you register your QR codes. It takes we have like identity numbers or employment pass numbers for so the government will know where you are when you go into those offices.
Oh, I see. And how do you think Avrio Wealth has dealt with the COVID-19 outbreak?
Well, one of the things we really wanted to do is become fully digital, no paper in our office. So we really do embrace technology. We use different financial planning software. So I use Voyant. My colleagues are Americans, so they use Money Guide Pro. We use all of our systems are digital, including electronic signing as much as we can. So the experiences we had where you couldn't meet people just meant that actually I think it helped us because we are so digital. It really pushed us forward in that sense.
Yes, for sure. I think definitely the fact that technology is a bit more advanced now has really helped during this pandemic. Thank you so much, Andrew, for your time. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Tom, what do we have up next?
Perfect. Thank you very much, Andrew and Gabby. I'm going to keep Andrew on the sidelines because there is a chance that he might be brought back in for discussions. But for the moment, I'm joined by Oliver Bourke of Mercury Wealth Management, and we thought we'd just chat about our experiences from joining the profession to becoming financial planners. So, good morning, Oliver. How are you coping? It's obviously 1:30 for you as well. So, how are you coping?
You know, I'm not doing too bad. I've used this time from when we closed this afternoon at about 6 p.m. till 1. Just to catch up on a load of stuff I've been meaning to do. So I've had a really productive evening. But I've sent a load of emails to the team at like 9, 10, 11 o'clock. So they're not going to thank me for that tomorrow morning.
Have you been one of those people working late that people don't like?
Well, only this evening, though. I just thought, well, I don't want to go to bed or to sleep because I'd only be resting for a couple of hours and then I've got to get back up again. So, I mean, who would have done that, Tom?
That would have been silly, I tell you that much. Whilst we're talking about silly and whatnot, moving on from that, I suppose, tell us a bit about Mercury.
So Mercury, family business. My father started or was the founder of Mercury back in the 80s. And it is what it is today now because I've been part of it for about 5 years. So I'm taking all the credit. No, I'm joking. Dad built this amazing business, and I guess I've just seen him as a role model. As you know, growing up, used to be taken to school with him. We used to talk about cases on the way to work, on the way to school, and it's financial planning for me has kind of just been in my blood, I guess, since I was young. So yeah, Mercury today, we're only a small team of 10 people up in the northeast of England. And we have an office down in London as well, just one of the virtual presence offices. But we have big plans, and we have big plans to do the right thing to start to get throughout the UK, and funnily enough, over into Asia pretty soon as well. So when I was hearing about Andrew being out in Singapore, I thought that was very timely. I was in Singapore in January, actually, February time, and I shared a taxi with a guy and started chatting to him, started talking about financial planning because it's kind of the only thing I really know how to talk about. And he said, look, people are crying out for you over here because of the transactional based market. We would love to have a relationship with someone. We'd love to have that ongoing financial planning type relationship that I was speaking about so fondly in a taxi at about 11 p.m. at night. Anyway, so from the sounds of it, Andrew, there are plenty of opportunities out in Singapore, and there's a really high barrier to entry to get in there because of, as you said, the regulators. So you must have a great opportunity ahead of you.
Yeah, the barriers to entry are pretty high. And I think, as I said, you just got to educate people and say what planning is. So when you say what you think, what it is, people are like, oh, yeah, I haven't seen that before. And normally someone just flogs me a product. So we've got to try and get away from that.
And I think, I watched the stuff from Keith earlier, and that was all about the Hong Kong market and how it's all very transactional over there too. But it sounds like it's all based on trust, right? It's very difficult to get into the local market because they how much trust have they got for people who come in who actually weren't born and bred in the area? So I think that could be a challenge, but I think it's a really good opportunity if you can figure out a way how to get past that.
Yeah, well, I think the regulator is looking at other jurisdictions, and they subtly change the rules, and they say, right, we need to move this forward. If they did probably the change that you had in the UK with the RDR overnight, there'd be like 30,000 people out of a job. So they have to be careful about changing the industry into a profession. I think that's the key.
I understand that. I think it will happen. I think it will happen in the next few years because, look how it's taken off in the UK, and it's just been a snowball effect. People have just bought into the financial planning because they just ask the question now, well, okay, it's more about money. Well, what does that mean? What am I trying to get out of life? Okay, that's probably a better question than what this, well, it's not even paper anymore, it's plastic, and it's mainly just all electronic in a bank account, but what is all this about, I think of this as, I think of money as just units of utility. You can just do stuff with this concept of money. You never go out to earn money, you go out to earn what money can do, right?
Yes.
And so kind of like going through that sort of transition in the UK where financial planning has really started to become more and more ingrained. I think people are just asking those questions now. What can we do with this money that we have?
Yeah, our target, sort of our market segment, or our client base is expats. So a lot of them they have a real lifestyle choice because you've moved into another country. So it's like, well, do we return to our home country or do we split between like a holiday home and a holiday here? So as you said, it is lifestyle. How do you plan for that?
I mean, I don't know what I would choose. A lifestyle over in Asia where you have like beautiful beaches and the opportunity to hop around all of these islands at such close proximity, or actually North Yorkshire is pretty nice too. So I'm not going to complain too much. We just need a bit better weather, less rain, and then we're good up here.
You can do both if you want, right?
Yeah, it's just a long flight though, that's all.
Yeah.
Can I ask both of you a question regarding sort of role models and mentors? Have either of you got any? Is there anyone that you look up to in the industry that you see respectful, and why do you look up to them?
Well, let me take this one. I do have role models and mentors, and they don't even know that they are role models to me in some circumstances. But I feel like I've just got people who I looked up to for different things, and you watch people how they are with other people, or how they look after their children, or how they converse with other people. And you think, actually, there's something different about these people. What is it? And so then you start to look at the different character traits. So I have a couple of role models, and majority of them are actually just friends and friends from around the world who I've met. And I think, oh, what would this guy do in this situation? And then in terms of a mentor, I have had a couple, and wow, the amount of, I hate using this management speak, but the amount of value that they can add is just incredible. People who've been through the mill, who've done all of the bits that you're now scratching your head, asking yourself the question, how to do this, they've got the answer times 10. And so the value of a mentor for me is incredible.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Andrew?
Well, we in the sort of the financial planning world here, we're always searching for people that we can emulate and think, well, actually, that's a really good business. What are they doing? So a lot of the information that like I try to seek out is normally through podcasts or seminars, or you look at people in other countries who have done amazing, have built amazing businesses or amazing financial planning businesses. So it's a case of, right, what's their podcast like? Right, that's brilliant. And you start to listen to it, and then you change in your business or change in your approach with clients as a result. So I started listening to Andy Hart. I thought he was really, really good. There's Mitch Anthony in the US. I met him in Australia last year. Fraser Jack in Australia does a really good podcast. Really good goal-based planning. So there's different. That's how we get our information. It's like, right, what's a good business? Right, what can we take from that? Because it's like a desert of information in Singapore, or good information.
I think the really interesting thing there, Andrew, is you're identifying things all over the world, and you're saying these guys are over in the US, or I know Mitch is from the US as well, but meeting in Australia. I just think it's so important to have that global perspective right now, because there's so many different stages. We're all at different stages on this financial planning journey all around the world. And so just kind of picking all these nuggets of wisdom, I think is brilliant.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's surprising how financial planning is the same around the world once you really get into it, and you just get these local idiosyncrasies or these local taxes you need to know, but actually it's the same. It's just you're just trying to find really good planners and think, actually, why don't I copy what they're doing or take it to the next level?
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of obviously around the world and it being sort of very similar around the world, today we've been around the world, or are going around the world as we currently speak. If you could be a financial planner anywhere in the world, where would you be, and why?
Wow, that's a great question.
Yeah, it's I think it's down to, it's probably personnel. So I'm quite happy living in Singapore, but my wife's Kiwi, so we might have to go that way. At the moment, we're in the middle between New Zealand and the UK, and we've got kids, so their grandparents need to see them. So personally, it fits my lifestyle to be in Singapore, and then we have to decide: do we go UK or do we go to New Zealand at some point in the future? No one wants to make that decision.
And how about yourself, Oliver?
Well, I think that totally comes down to lifestyle choice now, right? So if I could do what I do wherever. So, little known fact, if you didn't read that little bio that went out ahead of the NextGen program, but I'm a ski instructor. So I love to ski. I love to be in the mountains. And I think if I could live anywhere in the world, it would be Whistler in Canada, because the lakes are beautiful around there. The mountains are beautiful. It gets great snow. And, as long as I could do some financial planning in the meantime, I'd love to be on the mountains.
Yeah, I must say, having been up the Whistler Mountain, it is stunning. I was quite young when I went, and I'd love to go back. Gabby, I feel as though you're looking a little bit left out over there, so I'm going to ask you exactly the same question. So if you could be
I'm half asleep, I think.
Yeah, I didn't want you falling asleep on me, so to ask you the same question, and I'll repeat it for you just in case. I was saying that we've been around the world today. If you could be a financial planner anywhere in the world, where would you be a financial planner?
I can't lie, it'd probably just be Italy. I'm half Italian, and I'd love to live and work there, and unfortunately work opportunities aren't as great as they are in the UK, so I'd say Italy.
Perfect, wonderful. Final question for Oliver and Andrew, if I may. What do you see as the biggest challenge facing yourself or the industry in the next 5 years?
Ooh.
I'll get the crystal ball out for you, don't worry. It's right here. I've got the crystal ball, so there you go. I've now imparted it.
I really don't often think along those lines, because I always think about, right, what are the solutions rather than what the challenges are. That's such a cheesy throwaway comment.
Get me a bucket, Oliver. Come on, give me a real answer. Come on.
I think the biggest challenges, realistically, are going to be, shall we say, the slower to move people and providers and companies not keeping up with the leading edge of financial planning. Because ultimately, if we want to provide the best service to our clients, we're going to have to be fully integrated with technology. And technology drives efficiencies and reduces costs. And for me, that ends up with a better result for the client. But I think there's quite a few hurdles that we have to jump over. And when I say we, I mean we as a profession, collectively, to be able to get to that stage. So I think that's possibly going to be the biggest challenge.
And Andrew, how about yourself?
I think it's changing from an industry to a profession. And I mean, around the world, there's certain countries that it is a profession. And I think there needs to be really pushing that side of it, whether it's coordination between exam bodies or coordination between sort of the financial societies or regulators to say, well, this is what it needs to be. And then once you get that momentum, I think the companies themselves will have to change. And then you get all this sort of new advisors or new entrants into the profession or the industry. And then it will change. It will really become a profession. That's the big challenge.
Wonderful. Thank you both very much for your time today. And obviously, Oliver, I know it's late over here, so go and get some sleep, because otherwise your team are going to kill you in the morning, I think. Normally on the show, we would now cross across to our challengers. At the moment, it seems to be that nobody is on the show at the moment. So what I'm going to do is give you a quick update on what has happened for those people. We've had Gretchen crafting many different things, which I do believe have been photographed and will be available to see. She's going to be back joining us, I think 3:30, 4:30 show. So stick around to look out for some of the final crafts that she's doing. She is still going. It's just to give her a bit of a break from obviously staring at the screen. Earlier we had Jess Gear climb the size of Ben Nevis, which is the highest mountain in the UK, just on her staircase. We've had Andrew Cook rowing the English Channel. I think he's got one more session of rowing coming up. I think his final session starts on the next show, so stick around. I think there's an interview also going on with him. We've had some Minecrafters building our very own stage and conference venue. So I'm looking forward to attending and getting myself a virtual beer, if that's what you do on these things. Unfortunately, my lack of knowledge on Minecraft tells me I don't know whether you can get a beer. Earlier, there were some zombies attacking the cat, I think. So stick around to find out what's going on with the cat, I guess. James Mousey's been doing some tyre flipping. I've been watching it and I thought, flipping heck, I've got no idea what's going on, but he seems to have flipped a tyre the furthest out of anybody. So stick to it, stick to whatever else is going on. We've also had Steve Martin. He had an Ironman cycle, I believe. Earlier when I checked in with him, he had some sore bum problems. So I think he managed to solve that one out. But just to say, it was 112 miles on a bicycle. So definitely didn't fancy that one. And I think, unless I've missed anyone, does anyone have any more that I've missed out, Gabby? Is there anyone else? I think that is all of our charity challenges.
Yeah, I think you've covered them all. But definitely stick around to see what happens to the cat. I think when I last checked in, they were naming the cat. They were looking for a name for the cat. So.
All I will say is, to add to our charity challenges, I think that probably the biggest challenger of them all is Adam Owen, who is going without Marmite for a current period and is in some serious troubles, I think. He not only has to do the 24 hours, obviously doing this, I think he launches straight into the next day worth of work. So he's got about 36 hours non-stop. So I don't envy you, Adam. You're doing a fantastic job. But what it does lead me to say is, please do dig deep into your pockets and donate to charity. All these challenges weren't done for absolutely nothing. There are some absolutely fantastic charities out there and really worth donating to, even if it's just £5. You know, it all adds up. We are trying to raise as much money as we possibly can in a single day. even if it's not for the ones that we're currently raising money for, if it's one in your own country, then please, by all means, do donate and just let us know that you have done so. Gabby, back over to you.
Well said, Tom. And yes, I really think we should get Adam some Marmite so he can refuel. On our next show, which is at 2:30 a.m. UK time, we will be chatting with award-winning financial planner Kevin Neo about life as a financial planner in Malaysia.
Gabby and I will be back later. I think we've got the 6:30 in the morning slot, so hopefully we're both looking a bit more lively than we do now. I think Marcus and Clem are looking after you following this show in about half an hour. So get some rest, have a cup of tea, have a good day if you're in Singapore, and thank you very much for a fantastic show. Take care, everyone, and see
Bye,
you in half an hour.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks.